covers important, meaningful, heartfelt topics that we are addressing in our work. It's like we're bleeding onto a piece of paper and putting it out there for the world to see. We're bleeding. The blood is the ink that's put in the pen that's being used, and that pen is our voice, and we deserve to be heard, and we will be heard.
Hello, welcome back to another video. I hope you guys are having a great week as always. Today I am going to be talking about another organization in downtown Portland that works with houseless youth. That's actually just a short walk from Pear, and that is Outside the Frame. Since 2015, Outside the Frame has been making films with homeless youth in the city and giving them the space and the technical skills to tell their stories. We got to visit OTF for a couple of their Tuesday drop-in sessions, and it was such a pleasure. We got to meet a lot of really talented young people and just see them in action making movies together. So, Marian, what is the plan for this video? First, I want to sort of break down what OTF does in practical terms, like how they structure their programming. Then I want to chat a little bit about how they got their start. And last but not least, I want to address the question of why filmmaking as opposed to any other art form. All right, let's get into it. So what is OTF and what do they do? For starters, a little bit about the space. Outside the Frame is located on the 3rd floor of Union Station in downtown Portland. They have an office, a small kitchen, a room for shooting projects, an equipment room, and then at the center of all these spaces is a large communal room with these long tables for kids to congregate around and hang out. There's some massive bean bags lying in one corner, and then there's this wall of snacks on the other side as well. And then there's also a whiteboard at the front of the room for pitching ideas, and all the walls are decorated with posters from previous Outside the Frame projects. And much like at Pear, the cozy atmosphere is very much about giving kids a safe environment where they can feel at home, where they can hang out and get to know each other. So as I said before, OTF's ethos is to help houseless youth tell their stories through filmmaking. And youth are responsible for imagining, writing, filming, and editing all of their projects in collaboration with each other. They have free reign over what kind of story and genre they want to explore, from drama to documentary, and they've even made some music videos. Shout out to Jolly Rapper, I love you, my guy. Therapy, for example, is a short documentary that shows Jacob, a young man getting his hair cut for a job interview and for his mother's memorial service. And while in the chair, he talks about what it was like being a caregiver to his mom while she struggled with a slew of mental health problems, and what happens now that he doesn't have to play that role anymore. Another narrative piece is called Warriors, It's a Wonderful Life, which follows one youth as he comes across someone considering ending his life on a bridge. And he confesses that he'd come to do the same thing, but that crossing paths had reminded him that he is the hero and author of his own story, and there's meaning in waiting around to see how it turns out. The two share a cigarette and then they leave the bridge together. And I think it's true that Outside the Frame's films explore the experience of homelessness from a kaleidoscope of lenses and tones, but I really think that the tenderness and the honesty that you see in both of these films is a real thread throughout all of their work. So in terms of how Outside the Frame organizes their programs, they have a drop-in day on Tuesdays and Fridays where youth can workshop an idea, film a short project, or learn how to use equipment. And then a couple of times a year, they offer an intensive film workshop. One of them is actually going on right now, where youth come together and make a film from scratch in about 2 to 3 weeks. And then lastly, OTF offers film workforce development workshops for participants who want to pursue a career in the film industry. So during the workshops, they get to access all of this professional equipment, and then they also get connected with a bunch of people and job opportunities in the field. So all of these programs are run in part by peer mentors, who are often folks that came to Outside the Frame originally as participants and have stayed with the organization afterwards in some capacity. This participant retention really speaks to Outside the Frame's success in that people want to stay on and be part of its legacy. And then I think it also offers a really wonderful model where those who've lived through difficult circumstances go on to then offer support to people experiencing something similar. So how did Outside the Frame get started? Outside the Frame was founded in 2015 by Nili. Nili was introduced to the relationship between social justice and filmmaking from a very young age, as her parents actually made the first anti-war film in Israel, which is called Shalom. She then became interested in the youth homelessness crisis while attending art school in San Francisco, where she worked with the Western Regional Advocacy Project to intercept a city ordinance to place houseless children in separate schools to ones that were housed. When she moved to Portland, she continued to work with houseless youth through social service programs. And in an article written by Amanda Waldrop for Reed College's magazine, Nili is quoted saying that during that time of her life, she kept asking herself, quote, "What can I do with youth that will matter to them and show the world how amazing they are?" And it was out of this question that Outside the Frame was born. Since then, OTF films have been screened all over Portland, including the Portland Art Museum and the Oregon Museum of Science and Industry Planetarium. 5 of their films were even shown as part of an art exhibition at the 2022 Venice Biennale. And in the same year, Nili won the Oregon Media Production Association Award for her sustained commitment to diversity and community safety through her role as OTF's founder and executive director. So that's sort of the spark notes on OTF's birth and programming. And I now want to address why Outside the Frame makes films with youth over a different art form, and why the medium of film aligns with the ethos of helping kids tell their stories so well. So for one, the narrative structure of film, the need for a beginning, a middle, and an end, provides youth with an opportunity to make sense of their past in order to create a coherent arc for viewers. Unlike the static image of a photograph, the multi-part structure of film lays the foundation for forward motion, for obstacles to be overcome, and for characters to evolve and discover new things about themselves and the world that they live in. It's an optimistic medium with the possibility for change baked into its very foundation. The other remarkable thing about filmmaking is that it gives authorial power back to a group of people that is normally spoken over and spoken for. Most of the narratives that we encounter about homelessness are invented and propagated by people who don't actually have any lived experience being homeless. The authors of these stories are lawmakers, news outlets, businesses, schools, and neighbors, all with their own agenda and exterior view of things. The stories we're exposed to are foundational to our understanding of how the world works. Stories construct our beliefs, our politics, and the way we see and treat each other. And so giving youth the tools and the encouragement to tell their stories complicates the public conception of homelessness by inserting stories from a myriad of voices and experiences. Plus, I really think there's something to be said for the way that stories speak to the human heart. We connect with characters in a narrative far more than we do with a statistic or a news story. So they're the starting point for any fundamental change we endeavor to make in ourselves or as a society. And then lastly, filmmaking is a collaborative art form. It almost always requires a team of people for the project to come together, with each person playing their own crucial role in the process. This sort of format necessitates dialogue and teamwork. It inspires new relationships and camaraderie to form within the crew and invites an exchange of ideas, perspectives, and creative input. This level of collaboration was very apparent when Tara and I visited Outside the Frame. About 8 youth were filming a project that they'd conceptualized the week before, and we were really struck by how well they worked together. The director was incredibly open to any feedback or trying new camera angles or lighting, and they even let the actors come up with their own dialogue that they thought was fitting for the project. About halfway through filming, they had an unexpected change in casting, and the team just quickly rejigged the story to account for this without any drama or any fuss, which was really impressive to see. And then it was also just a really fun set to be a part of. Like, there was lots of banter and joking around, while also being really productive and completing all the filming in this 3-hour workshop. And they also let me operate camera B for a part of filming, which I think about every day of my life. It was amazing. I think that based on the negative stereotypes associated with homelessness, this level of professional collaboration might come as a surprise. But then Devon, Outside the Frames program manager, explained to us that it should really make perfect sense. Kids have had to learn how to be resourceful and creative in order to get by on the streets. They've become experts in pivoting when something doesn't go as planned and finding creative solutions by using what's available to them. And these are all skills that will serve them in creative industries and throughout their lives. So that is the tea on Outside the Frame. We had such a good time getting to know everyone, and I honestly miss them already. And yeah, it was just really incredible to see how creative, insightful, and just straight up productive these kids are. And then on a more personal level, I just think that the idea of giving people the tools and the capabilities to tell their stories, especially through the medium of film, is something that I just find really profound and meaningful, and something that I want to take into my own life in some capacity in the future. To be determined. I just really encourage you guys to check out OTF's films. I'm gonna link it all in the description, and also take a look at the article from Read Magazine, because it gives a really good overview, and it was also just a really helpful resource in putting this video together. But yeah, that is all for this one. I hope you guys have a great week. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!